Hello and welcome back to the When You're Podcast, the podcast for when you're doing anything. Today we're talking about when you're making gyros, or it's the Greek food. I'm making the Greek food. You know what I'm saying? The gyros. I don't know if it's. I'm not trying to confuse it with euros, as in the currency in Europe. So just to be clear, when you're making gyros. Whatever, you get it. Okay, so the food. I'm making the food. Whatever. Okay, here we go. So recently, I've been making these. Well, not recent. Well, yes, recently, but whatever. I tried to make chicken gyros, and because I was trying to make it, I had to get all the ingredients and figure it out. Now, there are any number of ways to make chicken gyros. There's like multiple different ways to do it. I don't know what's like the traditional or like maybe the proper way to do it, but the way I did it was I just grilled it on like a regular outdoor grill. So that way that's what was the number one recommended way to make them. On all of the recipes that I could like try to find to try to make it was like, yeah, you gotta put it on an open grill, outside grill, and then you gotta put oil on it. And they just told me like that was the number one thing. They were like, grill it. So I was like, okay, I'll try grilling it. So you have to use grilled chicken. I mean, you could do it all types of different ways, but the main way that they usually offered it was like grill it, put it on the grill. And I was like, fine, that's easy, that's simple, and that way it can just like cook really quickly on there. Hopefully, doesn't go over terribly, but you can grill it, you can put it on a pan, you can do it that way. Pan sear it, I think it is the way, or you could just put it on that, whatever. You can oven bake it. So the way that you put it in the oven, or like the way that they showed it, was you kind of put it on like a stick, like a rotisserie chicken style, but you layer on the chicken one on top of the other. So it goes one here, and then another one, then another one, and then so on and so forth. And you just layer it all on top of each other, and then you bake it, and then you kind of cut off. I forget what that style's called, but you just cut it off like if it were to get the pieces of chicken off, and then you put it onto the gyro. There's that, but before all of that, you got to marinate the chicken. So marinating the chicken was probably the best thing I ever done. That chicken came out so full of flavor. The marinating it with the Greek yogurt, and I had to put dried oregano, lemon, salt, pepper, I think some garlic. I had to mince up some garlic and put it on there. Trying to think what else. Those are the main things, And then you could add on some stuff. The only thing I would say about the whole marinating process was that I just had to let it sit. So it's not like a quick, easy little marinade. I guess no marinades are quick and simple and easy. You gotta let it sit there and let it sit there. So I let it sit overnight. And then you can choose from any of the above. You can grill chicken, you can pan sear the chicken, you can oven bake it. But if you don't get that marinade, you're not gonna get that delicious, juicy. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. The flavor is definitely there. I guess something I could have added, or something that I probably should have done, was maybe like a little bit more salt, and maybe some I don't know, maybe some paprika and a little bit of cayenne pepper to give it some heat. I just felt like it had flavor, but it didn't feel like it had like all of a good balance of everything. It just kind of felt like you could taste the flavor, but it wasn't just like, it just wasn't hitting per se for me, but maybe that was where I went wrong. I should have maybe thought of adding some stuff to it. But anyways, After you let it sit, you can do any of those things above. Now, after you cook it, well, while I was doing the whole marinating process, I had to get Greek yogurt for the thing, and they sell them in those. Well, they sell them in small tubs and like those little like small yogurt packets like for one person, but I didn't need. I mean, I could have just survived off of that one for the if I were just doing the marinade, but I wasn't just doing the marinade. You also have to make like a traditional tzatziki sauce, and the traditional tzatziki sauce you have to add like a bunch of Greek yogurt to it to make like a bunch of it, and I guess the recipe I got was like for a whole family. I only had like 4 pieces of pita bread, so I was just kind of like I didn't know any better, so I followed the recipe, and it was just like too much. But anyways, the trying it with the trying to make the tzatziki sauce was, I mean, it was simple, but I think the thing that took the longest was the cucumber shredding, because not that it was long, it was just that like you have to do it a certain way, and I don't know, it just takes time to shred all of the cucumber, and then you have to like drain it of all of its of all the cucumber water that comes out of it. So all of the juices, you can't add it. Well, you could add it, but there's so much of it, you don't really need all of it, and you're just there for the cucumber to add it to the whole thing. So I had to shred all of the like. Well, for me, I was only making it for myself, so really I only need one cucumber, and I could have like had less tzatziki sauce. I mean Greek yogurt for it, but whatever. So I only really needed one, but I shredded 2. I had to cut them in half, and then you have to scoop out the cucumber seeds. And by scooping out the cucumber seeds, I guess it's just one less thing to worry about, or like an easier way to shred it, or not make a mess, or to like get rid of some of the water from the cucumber. And I actually kind of like that idea. Maybe I should try it again, but like cutting in half and then scooping out the middle, so that way I can like put something in the middle, and then you can kind of like cut it like a cucumber boat. You know what I mean? So that way, like the way I thinking of it, or when I was shredding it, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I could peel all of the skin off, and then cut it in half, scoop out the middle, and then put like, I don't know, you can put like salt on it, or the spicy mix on there or whatever to give it like some flavor, and then you can cut it and share it with like everybody. That way everybody gets like an appropriate piece. But then it's just probably easier to just like cut it in slices like chips and then add it on after the fact or whatever. I don't know. Cucumbers are really delicious. They're really amazing. And it was a shame that I had to, well, I probably shouldn't have wasted all the cucumber juice that I got from it, but I didn't really know what to do with it. And it wasn't like I had enough for like, to like really enjoy. Like I could have made a glass, or like maybe like a small little lemonade with it, but it just didn't seem worth it at the time. And I was just kind of like, I just wanted to get to the next step. I just wanted to make the sauce. But anyways, that, and I had to get the Greek yogurt, and then you have to add all the rest of the seasonings to it. So almost everything that was on the marinade for the chicken, but they wanted white wine vinegar, or you could substitute it with apple cider vinegar, and I don't remember what the third one was, but I just substituted apple cider vinegar because I didn't have white wine vinegar, which, I don't know. I guess it made it taste a little sweeter. I honestly don't know what all that did, but added that to it, lemon, garlic, salt, pepper, all of that, added it to it, and then mixed it around, and then I put it in a Ziploc bag, so that way I could put it in the fridge, and then wait until my marinade got done, and I could cook it, and then add it to the thing. And the tzatziki sauce, I think, when I put it on the gyro, like I wanted to put it on as like a base, but it was really cold. So like when I hit the hot or the warm pita bread, it just kind of brought down the temperature. And I guess maybe the best way to do it would be to like heat up the. I don't really know, but for me, the sauce was kind of overpowering in its coldness, and it didn't really taste all that like crazy. It didn't add like a huge amount of flavor to the gyro as a whole. It just kind of felt like something extra to add, but it didn't feel like it really brought it up to like a higher level for me. It didn't really change anything. It was just kind of like, yeah, it's a lot of sauce, but I just kind of want it's a little overpowering. I want more of the chicken flavor to pop through, but I guess I just added too much because I made a lot of it. And for whatever, I just feel like the Greek yogurt, you know what it was? The Greek yogurt, the whole thing that I did with it, it just tasted like sour cream. It just tasted like sour cream to me. And maybe that's all it is, So eventually later on, I was just kind of like, I tried it with the sour cream and it was the same thing, but again, the sour cream was just like, I should, it doesn't really need to be a part of it for me. It just felt like something didn't really add all that much. And again, it was nice, but then I was just kind of like, then it's just like a taco, isn't it? It just doesn't feel like I'm really getting the traditional Greek flavor or the experience. So like the tzatziki sauce on the gyro, maybe there's another way or like another type of sauce. Maybe I did it wrong. I probably did it wrong, but I didn't feel like it was all that crazy. It wasn't all that amazing for me, but I'll try it again. Maybe I'll try it with something else, something different, and yeah, I'll get them next time. But I will say the one thing that stood out in this whole dish, okay, the chicken was good. I've had good chicken. That one, it's good. All right, it was grilled. It was very well seasoned. I like the taste of it. I thought it had really, really good flavor to it. But that being said, I don't know. I've had like other grilled chicken that I guess I like better. I don't know. It's just grilled chicken, right? With the marinade on it. I don't know. I feel like it was good, but it wasn't like crazy for me. You know what I mean? Like like that first time you had like fried chicken or whatever. It's like, wow, this is delicious. This is nuts. It's so good. I can't not be around. Who was the first person that, you know what I mean? You're just kind of like, who made this fried chicken? Who made this possible? You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like that, but it was definitely very delicious. But I have to say the standout food, or like the one thing that stood out to me in this gyro experience, was the pita bread. That pita bread was so, it was outstandingly delicious. It really was the standout thing out of the whole thing. Like you could be like, oh, it's just like a burrito or like a taco, but you just put pita bread, like a flatbread on there. It's nothing crazy, and maybe that's true. Maybe I just like flatbread because I've had flatbread before. They like put it on sandwiches and stuff, but use it instead of like regular bread, like normal white bread or wheat bread or whatever, like just use flatbread. I've had that before and it's very delicious, but I guess I just haven't had it in a while. So when I had this, I just thought to myself, man, that is delicious. It was warm and it was very, I like it warm. I don't know if you can eat it cold. You probably can. I'm just being an idiot. But anyways, I had it warm. I toasted it. It was very delicious. But it was soft. It had this soft, but it also had like this texture on it that just, not crunchy, but it just gave it a little bit more of a thickness, a little bit more of a toughness to it. And I really enjoyed that. I really, really liked it. I was just like, man, how did they... There was something about it. I guess it was just a different texture of bread. Because usually with white bread or wheat bread, it's like, you got the crust and then you got like, it's a soft middle. Like you know what you're getting. Like it's just like, it's just a standard white bread. Nothing too crazy. And even if you get like those loaves, like those, what's it called? Like French bread or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just bread with like a little bit of a tougher crunch or shell on the outside. You know what I mean? It has like a better exterior, but nothing crazy. But this one, it was flatbread and it had like this good feel to it. It was soft, but it also had like a good like rip to it, texture. It felt a lot thicker. It just felt like you're getting a lot more bread. And I really enjoyed that. And that's why I thought it had a good feel to it, It had it was soft, but it was also very durable. It held everything perfectly. It wasn't like no chance of it like, I mean, a little tear here and there, but it wasn't like crazy. It didn't feel like it was all going to fall out. It just felt like, yeah, maybe I added too much stuff on here, so that's why it's like overflowed. But you can always like, the recipe suggested that I wrap it up in parchment paper. Maybe that's just like to keep it from falling out. But I just ate it like a taco or whatever, or I closed it like that. But it had a good hold on it. I thought it was perfect. And then yeah, it was just my favorite part of the whole gyro. Of course I bought the pita bread. I didn't make it myself. But that should probably be my next one. Or just to make flatbread. Flatbread, probably should learn how to make that. Because you can make standard white bread all by yourself. But flatbread, I feel like that's more of like an occasion. You know what I mean? You can go to the store and buy white bread. You don't have to make it. I mean, you definitely can. It probably tastes better too. But for me, I just feel like if I'm going to make bread, it's got to be like something different. And I think flatbread is the way to go. It's the perfect start. Now, I will say this. I do feel like I messed up on this recipe. Not so much with the marinade or with the cooking of the chicken. I just feel like I could have added a little bit more of myself to it. I followed the recipe to a T, but as I was making it, I probably should have been like, you know what? I don't think I'm really going to like it like that. Or I feel like I need a little bit more like seasoning on there. I need some like the paprika and the cayenne. I need like a little bit more salt, or the Greek yogurt to like seasoning ratio. I don't know if I'm going to like taste it all that much, or yeah, any number of things. I just feel like I could have traded it in or substituted or added some things to it to make it my own. And that's where I feel like the mistake was made, because it isn't. I made it the traditional, or at least that's what it said, traditional, but I probably should have just like added a little flair to it, something to make it myself, or something that I knew that I was going to like I knew I wanted a little bit of spice to it, but just to like see what it tastes like first. This was just a trial test run to see how well I would do. And now that I know. So in the future, I'll add like a little bit of spice to it, or maybe I'll put some like, I'll add like some hot sauce or something else spicy to like add to the whole marinade of it. And then, what else is there? I could have just like little touches here and there just to make it my own, just to make it uniquely my kind of a gyro to make. I made too much tzatziki sauce. Probably should, tone that down a little bit. I don't feel like for me at least, I didn't feel like it was a huge like necessity or like an add-on. I feel like it's like, yeah, if you want it, you know what I mean? Put a little spread on there, small little amount of it, and then you can still get like that flavor from it, but you don't have to like, it doesn't overpower everything else. I also could have cooked it differently, the chicken. I could have baked it in the oven, or I could have pan seared it on the stove. So, in the future, I can always like try it again on those things instead of having to like cook outdoors in the grill where it's like you can't. I mean, you can, but you can't control the fire and the heat of it all and the smoke, and try to like cook it accordingly so that way it doesn't like overcook or undercook. You know what I'm saying? So probably could have done that a little bit better. And yeah, just not follow the recipe exactly. Not having to worry about like me making it traditional, and just make it like, well, what are you going to enjoy? What are you going to like? How are you going to eat it? And I feel like I usually do that a lot with recipes. I always add a little something to it, but for this one, because it was my first time making it, I was just kind of like, no, let's follow it, and then later on we can figure out the rest. You know what I'm saying? Then we can put our own little spin on it. And I guess that's just the way of life, huh? Like, if you're a professional chef, you don't start immediately going like, how can I change the flavor and mix everything and do everything completely different? That's not the way it goes. The way that it goes is kind of like, oh, I'm going to follow it and then master that. And then once I master it, I'll add like certain things to it. So like, if you want to be an expert at making, let's say soup, then you learn how to perfectly make one soup. Like, let's say you know how to make chicken noodle soup to its perfection, okay? But then you're like, but let me add let me add a little something more to it. So then you're kind of like, okay, let me add this kind of noodle or this kind of pasta, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you add this, and then maybe we'll spice up the chicken, and then we'll chop it up and we'll throw it in there, and then we'll add extra greens to it, and then we're gonna put like this in there and that, right? Like, you're figuring yourself out. You're trying to figure out, how am I going to do it? How am I going to make this different? How am I going to make this recipe my own instead of being the same old chicken noodle soup that I've been making? Even though you know that one. You know that one by heart. You can make it with your eyes closed. But then you're like, let me experiment. Let me go crazy with it. Let me see if I can figure it out. Let me add some of this or some of that, right? Like, you got to be cool with it. So, not following the traditional, but I feel like it was important for me to learn how to what the traditional way was, or what was there. Now, there are other, you don't have to make chicken gyros. I feel like they're definitely popular, but they're kind of like the second choice. The popular choice is probably like beef and lamb. Those are probably the top ones. So beef and lamb gyros are kind of like they're mixed together. I mean, I guess you could do one beef and another one lamb, but I guess the way the recipe calls for it is that like they're mixed together, they're joined with one another. So making that, you have to use ground beef, I think. I don't remember if you mix them together or if they're like cooked separately and then you mix them later after they're cooked. Because I know with the lamb, I saw it on the recipes, like you have to put it in like a bread baking pan, right? Like in the oven, and then you like smash it in there like really low, like you're making meatloaf. And then as it bakes, I guess all of the water floats up to the surface and evaporates or something. I don't know. I don't really know, but I just know that they emphasize that you have to like put it in this tin, this thing, and then put it in the oven and cook it, and that's how you do it. Which I guess is completely different than doing a marinade. Obviously, you have to put like salt and pepper and other seasonings in there, but it's not like the same way that I did it with the chicken, where it's like I use chicken thighs and then I have to like marinate those. With this one, it just feels like you have to get the ground beef and the lamb, ground lamb or whatever. You have to mix that together, put the seasoning, and then throw it in the oven to cook, and then everything else is as follows. So that's another That's another thing. I don't know if that's the more traditional way of doing it. I know that's a way, or like that. Those are different types of ways. So maybe I'll try the mix first, and then I'll try one with just beef. But that's definitely something. And I don't know why I chose gyros. It was just kind of like, oh, let me do something different. Let me, Greek food I've never had, like something like that before. So let me experiment with it. Let me try it out. See if I can do it. Yeah, and I'm not a master by any means at it. So it was just something to try. And it just like, I feel like the beef and the lamb just add a different flavor than regular old chicken. You know what I mean? I hardly eat lamb, so maybe it'll be a new thing, something different to try. And I think there's also pork. There's also pork flavored. There's pork gyros. I don't know if those are traditional. I don't know if pork is traditional for Greece, but I do know it's a variation. It's an option. It's a possibility to do that. So, given that that's an option, you can only imagine what the other choices could be. There's probably they probably got vegetarian gyros. You know what I mean? They probably got like a little thing you can make, like a spicy black bean gyro thing, right? Like something like that. Like how they make the plant-based burgers and stuff. They probably got something like that you could put in there, and then it's a lot fresher. It's a lot tastier, I guess, right? Something to add to it. I don't know. Maybe instead of that, instead of pork or like a meat of some kind, you could just substitute it with whatever vegetarian. You know what? I feel like if you made fried chicken gyros, it wouldn't be as healthy, but it would still, I think that would be like a lot better. You know what I mean? Like you just put like a fried chicken tender in there. Like, ooh, that would be delicious. And then the lettuce, tomato, and then like a small spread of tzatziki sauce on there. That would probably be the best. That would probably be very delicious. With the pita bread, ooh, that's great. But then where's the difference, right? Like between that and maybe like a flatbread sandwich with fried chicken. I don't know. I just know that is a difference. There are any number of different variations to make this, okay? I was just explaining, or I was just like, when you're making it, you got so many choices, you got so many options that it just feels like any way you do it can improve or change the way that you enjoy the food. You enjoy this meal. And you can eat it on this. Well, the choices were, there's some sort of Greek rice that you can eat it on the side with. I don't know. I just made white rice, and you can also have like French fries or like a side salad or whatever. And those are all fantastic too. But like, I put like lettuce and tomatoes on the gyro for me. So I was just kind of like, for me to add a salad to it, it's like, why don't I just make a salad, put the chicken in there, and then have the pita bread on the side, and then that would be like the meal. You know what I mean? But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to try it with on the pita bread, and then eat it like that. Whatever. You get what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, when you're making gyros, when you're making them, just don't put so much tzatziki sauce on there. I mean, my goodness, it feels like too much, and it was really cold, and I just felt like I was overwhelmed with the amount of like Greek yogurt, and I was just kind of like, oh my goodness, like, can I taste anything else on this? like anything at all. But if you know how to make your own pita bread or like your own flatbread, oh my goodness, you are a true chef. I give you top marks. Because I know that it's probably, you never go back to old bread after you have that. Like once you get consistent with it. But whatever. So yeah, that's what I've been up to, and I'm probably gonna try it again. Maybe another time. You know, I feel like I've gotten my full on these gyros, but you know, I'll probably come to you with another one, with another update. So yeah, we'll see. But thank you guys so much for listening. I'll talk to you guys all next time. Thank you.